Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning to you. The news that Harry wants to sue the NYPD. There's a lot of information, so you know me, I gave you a little bit of a background. I'm going to go through it super fast, so try to hang on so that you have a full grasp of what happened before we talk about what's, going on today. Now, this video is much longer than I usually do. I apologize for the length, but there's just so much. So let's jump in and cover, shall we? Let's go. Let's start by reminding you that Meghan was in New York to pick up an award from her friend Glow. She arrived in a huge motorcade of blacked out SUVs with their security team around them. She gets out of the car dressed in gold because we know Charles had just had his coronation. He wore gold, so yeah. We critiqued her outfit. She had powder on her leg. Her dress was too tight. It was rolling up over her belly. Her shoes looked really painful. But the point is, when they were dropped off in a covered garage at Hertz Rent-A-Car. But when it came time to come out, instead of going out in a secured area, Meghan and Harry decided to do this whole pap walk with the paparazzi everywhere because, she had to have her moment. You know how she is. So even though they were only staying 2 blocks away, they drove around for hours because they didn't want people to know where they were. And that's where the problems, all began. It didn't take long for mouthpiece Omid Scobie to then come out in defense of them. And it was just horrible. And of course, Harry put out an official royal statement. Not long after, the pictures started coming out, and here's Meghan smiling in 99.9% of the pictures. I think she's extremely happy because, look, we're being swamped by the paparazzi. They're chasing me, just like she always wanted. You guys get what I'm saying? She's smiling throughout this entire process. Remember, this is going on while they're fighting for the return of their UK security. Very interesting. The only person who truly seems stricken in all of this is Harry. Like Harry wasn't in on the joke. Now, while this is going on, I repeatedly said, why is Harry in a yellow cab? They left in blacked out security bulletproof SUVs. Why are they in a yellow cab? How the hell did this happen? And why is Harry taping everything? I have no doubt that this took Harry back to visions of his mother. Get it? Somebody was screwing with Harry again. It didn't take long for Omid to come out again. Poor Harry and Meghan, mean royal family, didn't even reach out to them. But Richard Eden pointed out how William and Catherine don't seem to have the same issues that Harry does. And of course, people on Twitter also came out pointing out that nobody else seems to have those same issues. The police then denied that there was a catastrophic chase. Remember, there's cameras on the corner of every street in Manhattan. And remember, it's set up like a grid. That's why they call it gridlock traffic. Remember that. It was inevitable somebody was going to find the taxi cab driver who said that he got the impression they had been pursued earlier, but there was no car chase while they were in his taxi cab, and he was only in there for approximately 10 minutes. The mayor himself came out and gave a statement saying, and I'm quoting, "I find it hard to believe that there was a 2-hour high-speed chase." Realizing that their story might be falling apart, Harry and Meghan put out a statement that they didn't want any pictures or videos from that night disseminated. It was at this point that the photography agency came out and said it was Harry and Meghan's security team that was driving recklessly. Realizing their lies were closing in on them, Omid Scobie then came out again, and I'm paraphrasing, but what he said was the statements from the mayor and the police were the facts, but Harry and Meghan's statement was an emotional one. So it was not about the facts, it was about the way Harry and Meghan felt. Right. People wanted to know if they were in such danger, why didn't they go to the police or the Carlisle Hotel? It was at this point that the police actually let us know that Harry and Meghan tried to stay at the Carlisle, Diana's favorite hotel, but they asked for a deep discount and the hotel said no, so instead they went to stay at a friend's. Harry then did the next thing, which we knew what was going to happen. He started invoking the memory of his mother, telling people this was the closest I ever felt to understanding how she died. Not long after this, Omid Scobie, remember, he claims he doesn't work for them, but not long after this, he came out again, slamming King Charles and Prince William and everybody, how horrible they are. They didn't even reach out to Harry after this horrible car chase that's just like the one that killed Diana. They're just terrible. We found out later on from Neil Sean that Omid was actually putting out misinformation, not that I'm surprised by that. So what Harry and Meghan actually did was they took a circular route from 23rd Street to 96th Street. Supposedly, they stopped at the police station, the 19th precinct, and that's where they got into the cab, but they never went in. Unfortunately, street cameras, as I told you, they're everywhere, caught them getting into the yellow cab somewhere else. They were not at the 19th precinct, but whatever. Eventually, they went around the circle in the cab, and then they got back into the blacked out SUVs. That's why I say this is a setup. At some point in the middle of all this, Harry and Meghan came out and said, we never said it was a high-speed chase, but actually Omid said that on their behalf. So actually, yes, now the narrative is changing. The photographers then came out with their own statement saying that this was fake news, that they did not chase these people around for 2 hours, and if they felt unsafe, they could go to the police station. I believe the statement at the bottom here, they were being used as extras for their documentary for their Princess Diana moment. I completely agree. A German documentary then came out, which I've showed you in previous videos, and basically what this shows, though, was that the security blocked the road with their SUV. You cannot block a road in New York without a permit, and the paparazzi that was there said, that guy is driving crazy. No, I've circled, it looks like there were only 3 paparazzi there because you have the one person that's taping the video, you have the guy on the right here, and you have the guy on the left there. That's a total of 3 people. So this is a video that I managed to get from the other angle. At this point, the blacked out SUV is behind the cab, blocking the road. And what was really going on here was the police came and needed to get down the road. If you've ever been to New York, you know that you cannot get around cars, but you can't stop in the middle of the road. So eventually, the police managed to get the security back in the car, the taxi cab leaves, and the paparazzi run after them for a final photo. And this is where you see what was really going on here, because this guy on the left, he gets back in the cab. Basically what's happened is the police have ordered them to go. So they get back in the cab goes forward, and as you watch, you'll see that the cab goes straight and the police go to the right. And they're going to the right because they were trying to get through to an emergency, and Harry and Meghan had blocked the road, impeding the traffic. That's what happened. So the whole story from beginning to end makes no sense. You don't pull a couple out of blacked out SUVs when you've only got 2 blocks to go and put them in a taxi cab and have them circle the block. Something was wrong. A story was then leaked to the paper that the NYPD sent a letter supporting Prince Harry's claim that there was a chase. Problem is, when the Freedom of Information Act was used to try to get a copy of this letter, it didn't exist. Nobody could find it. And Harry entered the letter into the UK court case for evidence. It was already arranged at that point that Harry was going to be returning in September to New York. Remember, we just saw the events he went to. And so the New York City police agreed to give him extra security because of this at the cost to the taxpayers. New York City police did a thorough investigation and came out and said there would be no charges. The NYPD also said at the time that Harry's security was partially responsible because they were reckless and didn't follow the police, routes that they were suggested. Harry was demanding that somebody be arrested, and the police said, listen, you need evidence for that, and we don't have any, which I find interesting because Harry supposedly recorded the whole thing on his phone. So what happened to that evidence? So Harry didn't release his video, but instead, about that time, he sent a letter to Backgrid demanding that they turn over all photos and videos that were taken. And Backgrid's response was really hilarious. They said, we're not releasing the information. You can't demand like kings do. Basically, you're living in the USA now. All right, that was the recap. I hope I didn't go too fast. I hope you guys totally understood and are now up to speed. And now we're going to dive into the articles that have come out. Now, remember, Harry's got his court case coming up again on appeal. I think that's why this is happening. Let's jump in. Apparently, what's going on now is Harry is suspicious of how the police handled the investigation of his and Meghan's near-fatal paparazzi car chase, because a member of his security team, one of the same security team that was involved in that whole mess, has apparently sent letters to higher-ups at the police department referencing that Harry felt intentionally misled and he suspects a cover-up. As Harry did send his letter to London for his court case, the NYPD's top intelligence officer, his name is John Hart, he also informed the police in London in September of 2023 that there was not enough evidence to make arrests for the case. And we know, as I just told you, that New York really downplayed their claims because there are cameras on every corner. Now remember, back in 2023, they did say that they were the victims of, quote, a relentless pursuit by a ring of highly aggressive paparazzi, and it lasted over 2 hours, and there were near multiple collisions. In other words, there were no collisions and nothing happened. But the NYPD clarified there were no collisions, no summonses, no injuries, and no regard. There were no 911 calls, and the police rep said that there was definitely not a 2-hour chase. The problem arises is that by December of 2023, this guy Hart supposedly, allegedly, reportedly told the London police that he had sufficient proof to make arrests, but no arrests ever came and there were no charges filed. So now Harry's going to start throwing his weight around. Here we go. The security company that was hired to protect Harry and Meghan in New York is called Touchstone. He wrote an email to Mr. Hart saying, and I'm quoting, "I am writing on behalf of the Duke of Sussex. He has asked certain things be taken care of by this Friday as it relates to the incident last May in New York City before he moves forward with an official complaint to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. He would like the arrest of the paparazzi to happen or an official letter stating why they have not been arrested or a letter from the DA's office on why they have not accepted charges." And it also said that Harry's going to file an official formal complaint against the NYPD over their handling of the Chase investigation. The security gentleman also told them that Harry has already contacted Governor Newsom to escalate his request to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Would be that we could all call the governor of our states to interfere on our behalf in our legal issues. I find it also odd that Harry is threatening to sue the New York Police Department but had absolutely no problem using them when he was back in New York at that tattoo parlor in the middle of Harlem or wherever the hell he was. Apparently, Harry and Meghan are aware that they have been accused of making this a publicity stunt, and they claim it was not a publicity stunt. And are you ready for this? They put respectfully, considering Harry's family history, one would have to think nothing of the couple or anybody associated with them to believe that this was a stunt. In other words, remember what happened to Diana. He would never pull a stunt like that because of Diana. Let's throw Diana's name out a couple more times. Diana, Diana, Diana. So here's my honest opinion about what happened. I don't think Harry was in on this setup, but I think Meghan was. From her smirky smile facial expressions to the fact that she sat so calmly between Harry and Doria, who I also think was in on it, who sat there so calmly and quietly looking at her cell phone instead of saying a word. Yes, I think this was a setup. Harry may not have been in on it, but it was a setup. It will be interesting to see how this whole thing ends up. We all know that this is also coming up now because the UK security case is going to be coming to court. Harry has to get his ducks in a row. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you don't want the world to think it was a publicity stunt, all Harry has to do is release his video. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Put those comments down, make them good. Hit the like and the subscribe and the thumbs up. And then go down into the description box and hit the link for video number 2. Let's go.